6th May 2026. I'm doing a practice of overcoming my hesitation of producing videos for YouTube and reducing my fears involved in that. Today I practice how I feel when I talk about a specific topic. The topic of today will be Star Wars trilogies. So Star Wars has 3 trilogies: the original trilogy, the prequels and the sequels. My most favorite trilogy of the Star Wars trilogy are absolutely the sequels, not the sequels, the prequels. Too many quels. The prequels. Those were the Star Wars movies that I watched as a child in cinema. So those are like my generation Star Wars movies. I've watched the original Star Wars movies quite a bit. I don't know, on like the, not the discs, the boxes. I don't know how they're called in English, to be honest. I don't even know how they're called in German now. But Kassettenrekorder. The old, big, black boxes. I watched them a lot on them. And I was already at that point a Star Wars fan. The original trilogy is, I think, currently actually the one that I watched the least. I go the least back to. I rarely have the need and the want inside of me of watching the original one again. That's at this point actually the trilogy that I watched the least. But it's the one that brought me into Star Wars. But my really favorite one are again the prequels. Episode 1, 2 and 3. My most favorite of them is absolutely episode 3. Then probably episode 1. And then just episode 2. I really loved about the prequels, or the action scenes, like the fighting scenes in the prequels, are probably the best that we have, not just in Star Wars, but probably just in movies in general. There are probably not any other like sword fighting scenes that are in any way better. A lot of the sword fighting scenes in the prequels are also slowed down kind of in post-production. Kind of like I think the Maul scene was not necessarily slowed down in post-production. They actually filmed it with a lower FPS. Which made the visuals slower in the movie. And very much the other ones were also slowed down, like especially the fight of Anakin and Obi-Wan, to my knowledge, are slowed down, which is just ridiculous to think about, that these very fast fights were actually even faster in reality. But what I also just really like about the prequels is the political side. They are very political movies. They are the downfall of a democracy. There is just a lot of nuance and detail and a lot of sides to them. I was really surprised, to be honest, when I was older, and especially like the sequels came out. It actually just really happened around the time that the sequels came out that I got aware that Jar Jar Binks got a lot of hate, which I was super confused with. I mean, there are a lot of things of the Star Wars fan base that I am just confused of, why people hate on stuff. And Jar Jar Binks was very hate. I'm very much not a Jar Jar Binks hater. When I watched The Phantom Menace as a child, I really loved Jar Jar Binks. I can remember as a child, I mean, not a lot, but I can remember myself talking in the way Jar Jar Binks talked, because I just thought he was super funny. And I liked him as a character. At least back when I was young, which that was the target. I was the target audience. Like, Phantom Menace, I think it came out 1999, around 2000. I mean, at this point, I was 7 years old. So I'm not exactly sure when the Phantom Menace came out, but I think it was around 2000. So I was 7, 8, maybe 9, depending on when it came out. So I was very much a child watching these movies in cinema, and I really loved Jar Jar Binks at that time. Not to say that I don't like him today. Like I'm not sad that we don't got more Jar Jar Binks in that way. Like I'm not a Jar Jar Binks fan would say I want to see more of him. I think the way, especially how he was done in many other series, like shows like in Clone Wars and so on, and watching him today, I'm fine, to be honest. I'm just very fine with how Jar Jar Binks is, and honestly, I really like his story in Episode 1. I really like that Jar Jar Binks is like a character who kind of by accident is like a super important character in Star Wars, and especially in Phantom Menace. I mean, the whole victory of like winning against the droid army wouldn't have happened if Jar Jar Binks wasn't able to first give Padme the idea of using the Gungan army, as a distraction and allying with them. So without his even kind of accidental talking about the Gungan army, Padme wouldn't have had the idea, and without his help, they wouldn't have met. They wouldn't be able to find the Gungans, and so the whole victory of like the of Naboo being free of the droid army is very much an influence of Jar Jar. Even if you can say, well, he's not really, that was all more so by accident than anything, but I think that's just a strong point in the story. We can say even a very unimportant person, even one that's like banished out, who isn't even like very liked, who's like annoying, can play a big and important part and role in bigger stories and in influencing and in changing the world. That for me is kind of the story and the message behind Jar Jar Binks, and I'm just always confused why people hate of him so much. But I think enough about Jar Jar Binks. I very much like him. Other things about the prequels I really liked, like Qui-Gon, but I think he's like a very loved character in the prequels in general. I lost my thoughts, which is weird, very weird if this happens. And my mind feels empty. Alright, back to the topic. Star Wars trilogies, prequels. What I said I really liked about prequels, well, is of course it was Anakin's kind of growing up story, how he became Darth Vader. That's just a very great story for me. I could always very, very much identify with Anakin and his struggles, even if they're not so much directly linked to me. But I just really like the fall and redemption story arc of Anakin. I mean, that's what Star Wars at the end is about, even if in the original trilogy we didn't know that much. But just watching the movies in the backgrounds, I mean, George Lucas always said that was actually the idea of the whole movie, and he just stretched it out over 6 movies. What else do I have to say when my mind is kind of a little bit empty about the prequels? I always liked how Yoda was presented in the prequels. He was very mysterious in the original trilogy, and he was a little bit more built out in the prequels. And just seeing him, also very much seeing fighting him, was very cool from the prequels. I very much loved it about the prequels, and I will wrap it up, and we will probably just continue this talk another time.